Hey, this is Schizophrenia Sucks with Nick from Schizophrenia Sucks. Yeah, and is that my real name? Who knows? Who cares? Do you care? I don't care. All right, so this is going to be one reason why I believe in God. Okay, so I was Christian most of my life, right? Um, I guess kind of brought up Catholic and then became more Protestant. And yeah, but let's say when I was about, I'm not sure, I think I was about 25, I lost my faith. I thought that, well, evolution makes more sense, science seems to be more stable, and religion doesn't have the answers. And I wasn't finding the answers that I needed in religion at the time. Even though the answers were there, I didn't find them. And I was also suffering from a very deep major depressive disorder. And I had been suffering from it for quite a long time, like at least 5 years. So I gave up on God and my faith, and I actually felt like I was dying when I did it. I was laying on my bed on my back, staring at the roof of my grandma's house, or like the ceiling, and I just felt like I was dying. Like life just seemed so pointless. And about maybe 5 years later, I got schizophrenia, and that made me believe in God. So, and I had a bunch of like religious delusions, but they were like weird, like antichrist, Satanist stuff, like not really Christian delusions. They were like Christian-esque, I guess. Um, yeah. So the reason is this: schizophrenia. What it teaches you is you can't trust your brain, and you don't need to have schizophrenia to know this, right? Like the brain, it values truth, or it values survival over truth. So your brain doesn't care what's true, it wants to survive, right? Like if you believe in evolution, your brain is trying to survive. Like if there's a poisonous berry and it's green, you don't need to know that it's a green berry. You can maybe see it as blue, but it doesn't matter what you see it as. The only thing that matters is that you don't eat it. So your brain does not care about truth as much as it cares about survival. So you literally can't trust your brain. And every schizophrenic knows you can't trust your brain. Like, why am I hearing voices? Why am I seeing things? Why am I smelling things, tasting things, feeling things, whatever? And all the other senses, like knowing, like you can feel like somebody's outside the house or something like that. So there's other type of senses that we have, like we're being watched, stuff like that. So you can't trust your brain. So that's why I started to believe in God again. Because you literally can't trust your brain. If evolution is true, you can't trust your brain. And schizophrenia was like a big window into that, and having to piece everything together. So, and that's actually an argument by Alvin Plantinga. And I didn't know that argument at the time, but I found it later. So I happened to come up with this argument like by myself. So if you can't trust your brain, right, like the only way that you can know reality exists is if God exists, because God made your faculties for you to observe the world, and God's not trying to deceive you. So if you're atheist, you actually can't connect to reality because everything could be a simulation. Like we could be in the Matrix. Like, how do you know what's real? How do you know you were you 5 minutes ago? You don't. Your memories could be fake, right? And schizophrenia, you can have memory problems. So you never actually can trust anything. You can't trust. The only thing that you can know is I think, therefore I am. So it's like you know that you're yourself right now. 5 minutes ago, you could have been like the Queen of England, or I don't know, Cleopatra. How would you know? Right? You like sense data cannot be verified in the atheist worldview. So you're basically stuck with solipsism, which is essentially the belief that only you exist and everything else could be fake, right? Like you're the only mind. And yeah, so I decided to become Christian again, like Protestant, and I started reading the Bible. I read Nietzsche in the psych ward. I read the Antichrist, and I really wasn't impressed by Nietzsche's arguments against Christianity. They're actually not that good, and I forget what they are exactly, but I was just left not very impressed. Even though I do like Nietzsche, Nietzsche has a lot of interesting ideas, and I've read and studied a good amount of it. I don't know exactly how much. So yeah, um, schizophrenia can lead you to believe in God because you have to question everything. And I had to question my entire worldview and what was true because I didn't know what was true because of psychosis. So how can you know what, like you've been talking to voices and aliens in the CIA for like a year? How do you know what's true anymore? You don't know what happened in your life that was real or what was psychosis. And you have to piece all of that back together, and it's very difficult. It takes like quite a while. And I'm smart and I use a lot of logic so I could figure it out. But to me, it seemed like, yeah, you just can't trust your brain. So maybe God is real because my brain tricked me into not believing in God. But that doesn't mean that God's real or not, because you could literally believe like an alien landed on your roof. So why should I trust my brain? And I found a lot of really great arguments, especially by William Lane Craig. I think he's been like a big help for me. And I found really good arguments for Christianity that make it just seem like it's true. So they're not like absolute conclusive things, but the atheist arguments that I had were really, really bad. And my thinking at the time was like a lower level of thinking. And I came to find much, much better arguments and like better debates and better information. And it really did feel like Christianity was true and that atheism was false or a lot less likely. And that there's so many problems with the atheist worldview. And this isn't like attacking atheists, it's just these are problems that you would have to deal with if you're intellectually honest. And I was honest. Like when I first stopped being Christian, I thought you can't be honest, Christian, and smart. And right, like you have to pick. You have to pick two. And I'm a very honest person, so that's why I became atheist because I didn't see the arguments. And yeah, but then I found way better arguments. And I know it's like, well, you just have like faith and believe because of that, which I do now. But I really got discouraged for a long time. I had like a season where I was atheist, like about 5 years. And I don't know if God used schizophrenia to bring me back, right? Like I was kind of egotistical and thinking I was like better than I am and thinking I'm really cool and strong because I got strong in the gym and I got in really great shape. So I kind of had an ego in a way. And that like philosophy, like you can become like your own God in a way. And I was kind of into that stuff, like the Ubermensch and all that stuff, which is like, it seems cool, but ultimately, like, you make a pretty crappy God because you're so fallible and so easily broken and you can die and get sick. So you really don't want to be your own God because you're not a good God. You're not strong enough, right? You can fail very easily. Like, once you get sick, like, anybody can go from being healthy to being sick. So it really doesn't work out. And we all get sick eventually. It's just a matter of time, right? Unless you get hit by a bus or something. So that's like one of the reasons why I'm Christian. There's a bunch of arguments. I'd have to think about them and list them all out. And I don't know how to explain all the arguments. There's like the contingency argument, the Kalam cosmological argument. There's a few others. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But it just seems unlikely that nothing suddenly decided to explode into everything. Like, how does that make sense? I mean, you can believe it, I guess, but it really seems odd. Like nothing explodes into everything. Like literally there is nothing, not even time and space, and that exploded into everything. And I do believe in evolution, but I think it might be like God guided it. I'm not really sure. It's kind of a little bit difficult to figure that stuff out. I haven't like um, settled on what I believe exactly. But I'm not like against evolution. I think William Lane Craig has it right. So I'm basically trying to believe whatever he believes, and for the most part. So I'm sticking with this for now. It's helped me a lot. I think it'll help you a lot. Basically, like Jesus is God, and He died on the cross, and He rose again 3 days later, and He died for our sins, stuff like that. Like that's what I believe, and I believe it very sincerely. I really do think there's really great arguments for it. It seems really unlikely, like the cell could form. Um, it just seems unlikely that any of these things could happen by themselves. It's really bizarre. It doesn't mean that um, necessarily God did it. It could be like aliens or another intelligence could have done it, but it does seem very bizarre for a cell to come to life. Um, like we don't know how it happened, and we're not even like close. So close to figuring it out. So yeah, schizophrenia made me believe in God. It really humbled me a lot. Realize I have many limitations, and that at any moment my health can be taken away from me. So much for being the Ubermensch. If you can be crippled by schizophrenia where you can't work or take care of yourself, so then you're just Untermensch, and then like what are you good for? So yeah, that was definitely a humbling experience. Anyway, I could make a lot of religious or God or spiritual type topics, and I want to in the future. So, like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Um, I don't know if this will make sense to people. It makes sense to me. Um, but yeah, I've been doing a ton of like investigation into philosophy, especially, and I've really come to the conclusion that there not only is theism true, but Christianity is true, and there's like good historical evidence for that too, which I don't really like the historical argument so much. But I do feel that it is true, and when I read it, it seems real, and it seems like Christianity makes sense, like the Protestant variety. I'm probably non denominational, but I do go to a Baptist church. So, anyway, I'm not going to let this get too long. I'm kind of rambling. So, God bless, and I hope this helps you. And I hope you find God if you haven't, because, right, like, I believe hell is real. I don't want anybody to go there. I think it's beyond horrible that people go to hell. I really wish God would show up and, like, confirm for us his revelations, and that nobody would go to hell. I wish God could figure out a way to do that. And maybe there isn't a way to do it, right? Which is probably the case, otherwise God would do it. So, but I just, like, I hate that people go to hell. It's so horrible. And, yeah, like, what are you doing with your life? Like, what's the purpose of your life? You're just like a shiny monkey. I call it shiny monkeys on strings, because it's like if there's no God, then determinism is true. So you're basically no free will. So you're like a monkey that's on strings, like a puppet. And then you think you're better than other monkeys, so you're like a shiny monkey. Or no, you think you're like better than a monkey, right? Because you're a human. So you're a shiny monkey. So that's what that means. Anyway, I hope this helps you. I hope like you read the Bible and pray and ask God to come into your life and to explain himself to you, and you can learn about God. And I realize not everybody's open for that, but I really do hope that happens for you. Anyway, God bless. That's it.